Zoom calls, mask wearing, Instacart, supply chains under pressure, airline bankruptcies. The pandemic has changed some things forever. And while some of these things are top of mind, others are less so. When Aussie executive Simon Dealy co-founded Higher Technologies in 2017, he could not have possibly predicted the impact COVID-19 would have on the staffing industry. But the instinct to digitize the company from the ground up has proven to be a smart move. Today, Higher is an emerging leader in a growing industry that Dealy says has shaken traditional notions of employment. Cantech Letter talks to Simon Dealy, CEO of Higher Technologies, about how staffing has been flipped on its head and where his company fits in. Thank you so much for joining us today, Simon.
Oh, Justine, it's a real pleasure to be here with you, speaking with you today.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. And Simon, for those of us who aren't familiar with your company, tell us a little bit about what Higher Technologies does.
Oh, absolutely. I love talking about the company, as you can imagine. And, Higher Technologies is investing in and shaping the future of human resource management with a technology first focus. And we're doing that through the consolidation and modernizing of the staffing marketplace. So, we own and operate staffing firms as well as platform technology, and we're using that technology to help our firms become more technologically advanced, as well as providing additional revenue streams to our company. The company itself is a very disciplined capital allocator. We have a very experienced management team that has been in this space before. They've been in professional services, been doing M&A through this industry for a long time now. And we have a very large recurring revenue stream, over 70% actually of our revenue stream is recurring revenue that we have within the business. So we're being very sophisticated about doing this consolidation strategy through the human resource or human capital market space.
And you started this company in 2017. Tell us how it came together.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, actually. I previously owned a large global consulting firm that I actually sold to a US publicly listed company. The former CEO of that company that I sold to was Alan Hartley, and him and I were sort of looking for the next thing that we're going to be doing. We were approached by David Carbonaro out of Gravitas in Toronto, who saw what we had done in the past and liked the space, saw it being heavily fragmented, and wanted us to get together with him to start building what was actually back then known as Bay Talent Group. And we rebranded the company to Higher Technologies in 2020, which was our first year of becoming a public company on the TSX Venture Exchange. And so, yeah, that's sort of how we got it going, and really building upon, our backgrounds and experience of doing consolidations and heavy M&A experience, and doing this within the human capital space.
And Simon, what inefficiency is Higher trying to address?
That's a really interesting question, because there's actually two different sides of the coin when it comes to the market and inefficiencies within the market. First of all, there's the brands themselves, the companies that we're buying and bringing into Higher Technologies. You have a situation where these entrepreneurs that are running these companies are sort of getting pulled in a lot of different directions, trying to be a lot more than what they have a core skill set for their clients, in order to be competitive against the other firms that are out there, and are quite a few firms out there that they're competing against. So what we enable those firms to do when we bring them into the company is allow them to really keep that focus, to really what their core competency is, really build around that, and also provide them with these more tools in their toolkit, so to speak, by giving them access to a lot of other solutions that the company has under its umbrella. So we have, other verticals that they might not have the expertise in, that they can now offer to their clients that they weren't doing so previously, including, SaaS technology platforms. These are things that the client are looking for that these brands wouldn't have had before they came into the Higher Technologies group. And so that's on the brand side. And then on the client side, there's, again, literally thousands of these staffing firms out there and other providers out there. They're sort of having to go through and pick out the ones that can do what they need, but not everyone's got the whole solution. What we're able to provide to those clients is a single point of contact that has a broad range of solutions and really developing that more of a trusted advisor relationship between the staffing firm and the client, because they can provide a greater suite of solutions to them.
It seems like there's not one dominant player in this space. The market seems quite fragmented. Why do you think that's the case?
Justine, I think really, there are obviously quite a few, tens of thousands of staffing firms in North America. I think last count there was something like 30,000 staffing firms, so quite a few. Very low barriers to entry is a big reason why there are so many of them. Anyone can sort of really start out, say they were a staffing firm and start trying to sell their solutions to the market and build up, if they've got good credibility, really building up a nice business. But then very quickly, those founders face a few challenges. First of all, getting access to working capital, enabling them to grow and take themselves to the next iteration, access to a broader suite of solutions and expertise outside of what they have themselves. And that's why for a lot of these firms, you look at them, they'll start bringing in other partners into the business that have expertise that they don't have to try and build that part of it out. The other part that is a limiting factor for them, and again, why there are so many in these different geographies, is they don't have the geographical reach. Again, that's a working capital component as to how you build your business, how you provide those solutions for your client on a bigger geography. And then also a big part of it is no clear exit strategy. So they're building this business up. They've got to a certain point. Now, who's going to buy that business? How do they make themselves attractive to an acquirer that gets them the valuation that they want, that allows them to take their business to the next level, and not having a market really sort of there for them to take it to that next step? Again, these are entrepreneurs who built their companies to want to run something. They don't want to sell it and become an employee somewhere per se. So looking, how do I take it to the next step? And then trying to find somebody that will allow them to do that. And that's exactly what High Technologies is there for, because we embrace that uniqueness and the multi-brand approach to the market.
And you recently entered the US market with the acquisition of Pulsify. Do you think Hire can grab market share in the US?
Well, absolutely. I completely believe that. The North American staffing market is a $150 billion market. The US represents something like 80% of that. The largest staffing firm in North America has less than 6% of the market. So again, it's heavily fragmented. No one competitor has a huge piece of the market. And so we're extremely confident in our ability to continue to execute like we've done coast to coast across Canada into the US. And really what's happened with COVID, the pandemic, what the impact was to the industry has actually allowed us to leverage our databases of clients better than we have before, because companies are looking for resources, the best resource, not necessarily the closest best resource. And so they're actually already starting to look north of the border and leveraging our resources there. And we already have clients have operations in the US. So it's very natural for us to start expanding our US operations. And we do have in our pipeline companies in the US that we're looking to bring on board.
Speaking of COVID-19, what kind of permanent changes do you think the pandemic will have on the industry?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Now, there's the pandemic, when it first started, companies had to go through this process of now onboarding people or interviewing and onboarding people remotely that they didn't have to do before. The whole business process of getting new people brought into the company changed. The companies were the permanent placement side of the business slowed down. And so there was a lot more of this contingent workforce that was being built up. And that's a lot of what we had, that recurring revenue was coming from that contingent, the hourly resource base. And so the sort of permanent changes that you'd expect, and we are seeing, is, hybrid work is here to stay. The employees now have gotten used to the idea of working from home. They like the flexibility of working from home. There wasn't a negative impact on the productivity. And they don't have to travel to work. They get to spend more time with the family. So there are some other benefits like that they're getting to deal with. And then from the employer's side of things, they can reduce their real estate footprint for one. That's a big piece of it. That's a huge cost to companies. They don't need to now look for those resources that can come into the office every day. They can look for what's the most qualified person, look in a broader landscape of where people are and get the right people in. And so that's another part of why. And it's actually a thing why you would see that those sort of flexible work environments like the hoteling and stuff will sort of establish themselves and probably grow more so as companies start to try and reintroduce their workforce back in. So really, bringing people in sort of 50% of their workforce in at a time at the most. So again, they can have that flexibility that the employee base has gotten used to, and a much higher reliance on technology. There's this situation now where you don't really need to see your employee working from 9 to 5 or some aspect of that. It's more about, are they producing the deliverables? It's much more deliverable based. And if you're going to manage your workforce on deliverables, then you need to have mechanisms to do that, and technology and platforms enabling you to do that. And cloud-based technology as well, because of this broader landscape that you're doing it with. So greater leverage of technologies, trying to keep employee engagement, managing the mental health of your employees is very, very important. And also looking at things like psychometric testing of your employees and candidates to make sure that they're going to fit into this new dynamic into how you're running your company.
Very interesting. And I just want to switch gears here now for a second. Sunil Sharma, who is a bit of a rock star in this space, recently joined your advisory board. What does he bring to the table for you?
Yeah, Sunil is a great guy. I love chatting with him. He's the managing director of Techstars in Toronto, and he has a very deep background and understanding of the SaaS technology space. And because of our focus on wanting to drive as a technology-first company and looking to bring that into our company and provide a lot of efficiencies for how we run our own operations, but how we can service our clients, it enables us to get access to some deep experience and sort of what to look for in these companies, what the main driving factors are that we should be considering as these companies are growing, what they're going to need to really supercharge their growth. And for us, having this focus, as well, enables us to really cherry pick those companies that Sunil's introducing to us. So he's bringing to us opportunities of platforms that are already running, producing positive EBITDA, positive growth that we can get in at an early stage into our company, and then really we benefit from that sort of supercharging of the profitability that comes by giving them access to our working capital, our existing client base, our centralized shared service center, all of these things to really help those businesses grow.
And speaking of growth, do you have more acquisitions in mind?
Well, it's high technologies is the capital allocator. So yes, I would say the quick answer is yes, absolutely. We're always looking to do acquisitions. There's a pretty robust pipeline we have right now. In fact, our pipeline of acquisition targets has quadrupled since the start of the pandemic. We've got some really amazing business leaders that we're getting to talk to and are in various stages of discussion with. So yes, we're always looking to execute more acquisitions to fuel that growth.
And more growth, what can we expect from you in 2021?
Well, really, for this year, we want to capitalize on the great success that we had last year. We released our financials for 2020 recently. We had some record numbers in Q4, really built a solid foundation of really good fundamentals within the company, and just, capitalizing on that. In addition to that, with the growth that we're seeing, this recovery in the market is probably going to be more rapid than what we saw out of other recessions. Staffing is a bellwether of any economic recovery. So we're expecting to see some really good organic growth within the business. But on top of that, we'll be bringing in more SaaS technologies into the company. We did an acquisition recently of Pulsify, which is to manage the remote workforce and to help managers better engage with their employees. But more technologies in that human capital space coming in, as well as buying some more brands within the US as well.
Lots of big goals for 2021.
For sure.
Great. Thank you so much for chatting with me today, Simon.
Oh, it's lovely. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
That was Simon Dealy, co-founder and CEO of Higher Technologies. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.